My fellow corporate slaves, what's going on? I got a quick story time about how I got fired from my first job out of college and ran into the absolute worst supervisor to ever exist. So let's jump to the story. It's 2022, I graduate from college and I get my first job at Central Hudson. It's like the Con Edison of upstate, right? And basically, it's a temp job and it's in the accounting field. So I'm like, you know what, let's do it. Recently, Central Hudson had an issue where they were getting sued because their billing system had messed up terribly. They had messed up so many people's invoices and bills, and they had to, give that money back, basically. So they had something called Project Phoenix. I was a part of it, right? So I joined for Project Phoenix. I'm over there reconciling bills and all that, and I'm living my life. But here's what happened. I got too complacent. I thought I was that guy. I got too calm. I got too comfortable. Never get too comfortable, especially at a temp job, right? So on my break, I used to go to my car and hit my little one hitter with a little bowl of weed because, I'm sitting there all day. I want to get a little high on my break. Never got caught, by the way. Dumb idea, though. Would never do it again. Would never recommend, but I did it anyways, right? Here's where the story gets crazy. I get into a conversation with one of my other temp coworkers about smoking weed because he enjoys it as well. And basically, he asked me how much I get my weed for. I told him 120. I get my ounces for 120. Not true. I get my ounces for 60, but I was saying, hey, I can turn a little profit on this guy. If I sell it to him for 120, I can get 60 for myself and go get another ounce, right? So I ended up doing that. The day I sell him the ounce, I sell it to him in the parking lot, right? This isn't where it gets bad. It gets bad because he wants to try out the product in the car. And the dumbass like me told him, sure, fine, take a couple hits and put it away. And I had done this because I thought, hey, I smoke in the parking lot using my pipe every day. Who's gonna say something? Wrong. Way too comfortable. So he lights it up. He's smoking in my car. I have bronchitis at the time. I'm not smoking at all. I'm just watching him smoke in my car. I'm doom scrolling on TikTok. Lo and behold, we did not know that somebody saw us. An old lady that worked there. So she basically goes and tells security. Security pulls up and he's like, hey, you guys smoking in here, smoking weed? And I'm like, no. That was a vape. And I'm not gonna lie. The lie would have worked if there wasn't a jar of weed sitting right there on my center console, right? He asked me, yo, is that a jar of weed? I said, yeah, but it's for my personal consumption. Idiot move. It was already over. So we go back to the office. We're sitting in there. We're doing our work. About an hour later, HR comes and pulls us out. Now, obviously, I'm not going to go through the motions. I got fired. Me and him both got fired right there. And I was in a bad financial predicament. I was already working a temp job. I was trying to find a permanent job. And I just didn't need that on my record. So we both got fired right there. Sadly enough, that's where it ends. It took me a couple months to find a job. And I eventually found a job where I'm working at right now as a staff accountant at a urgent care, right? And this is where I run into the bad manager. This manager was the absolute worst manager ever. We're going to call her Liza. Liza was the most micromanaging manager you could ever find in your life. Imagine you go remote on Fridays because, everybody at my job gets one remote day. You go remote and you think, you're expecting you go remote. You're not going to have people on your ass texting you on Teams all day. This woman would watch my light. If you're familiar with Teams lights, they either are green, yellow, or red. Red for a meeting, yellow for away, green for available. If my light turned yellow for 5 seconds, I was getting a Teams message asking what I was working on and what I was doing. Very micromanaging. Second of all, in the office, this woman would pop in and ask to see me every 5 minutes in her office for anything I was doing wrong. First of all, the woman didn't train me at all. And she would ask me to do these tasks, And basically this is like another first job out of college because the temp job I was working at wasn't for too long. The woman basically would just ask me to do these tasks that I didn't know how to do without proper training, and then would get mad at me because I wasn't getting them done right. And eventually it led to a write-up from her because she felt like I wasn't doing enough, or I wasn't working hard enough, or I just wasn't I wasn't taking notes and doing things the way she wanted because she wasn't properly training me. Now, this woman, honestly, I hated her with everything in my life, and she made going to work a living hell. When I didn't see her car in the parking lot, it was a great day. It was an amazing day. And this woman just never knew how to leave people alone. And I wasn't the only person in the office that felt like this. My 2 other coworkers in the same department felt like this too. And she also made me feel like an intern. I'm a grown man working a job. I'm not a college student. I'm not a kid. You don't have to send me projects, okay? Because we aren't working on projects. We're working on month-end tasks, okay? You're not going to test me. She was giving me tests, okay? Literally tests to see if I knew what I was doing on these grants and then on reconciling cash for month end and stuff. She was terrible. Lo and behold, she wasn't just terrible at being a manager. She was terrible at doing her own job, at being an accountant, which eventually led to her being fired. Now, I'm telling you, when she got fired, that was the best day of my life. Now, I usually don't prey on people's downfalls or celebrate people's downfalls, but listen, when I tell you, I went out with my mom to go drink a beer at the bar when that happened. We celebrated all night. It was amazing. She got fired in May of last year. It's been a year since she got fired, and I want to say my experience working at my job now has changed 100%. I used to hate going to work. Now I still hate going to work, but at least it's not stressful. Now that she got fired, I have actually gotten properly trained by my current manager, which was her manager. And he trained me, he showed me everything I needed to do, and now I do my job flawlessly because that's how work should be. You should be trained in a correct way, all right? Not in a micromanaging, microaggressive, terrible way, okay? But let's get into more on why this manager was a terrible manager, okay? First of all, she treated everybody like shit. She was a smile in your face, talk shit about you behind your back, all right? Second of all, she blamed any problem she was having on her coworkers. And also, she would want you to get your work done fast so she could dump her work on you. Because lo and behold, she didn't know what the fuck she was doing. She messed up so many spreadsheets. She messed up a lot of things for our company and almost got our license taken away, right? And getting your license taken away as an urgent care nonprofit is absolutely terrible. That just means everybody else getting fired. We got no jobs. She was messing up financials terribly, right? And also, she was a micromanaging bitch. And it was just horrible. But, you know, from being remote and being hit up every 5 minutes to have a new task, to being in the office and being told, hey, you can't do this, you can't do that. Now, all I was doing was I'd have one AirPod in my ear and I'd literally have to turn my phone upside down so she doesn't think I'm watching my podcast. She would come in and say, hey, you can't watch that. First of all, bitch, it's a podcast. I don't need to sit there and watch people at a desk talk. I'm listening, okay? When you catch me on my phone, it's because I'm scrolling for a new podcast to listen to. It takes 5 minutes. It's not taking away from anything I'm doing. There was also another predicament where I was on the phone dealing with an issue. Now, everybody else in the office can be on their phone as much as they want, talking as long as they're doing work, because we work at a headquarters. We're not on the phone with any customers. We're doing financial work behind the scenes, okay? It gets done when it gets done. Nobody's dilly-dallying, okay? And when other people are on their phones having conversations, it's not an issue. I'm having a talk with Easy Pass because they had just violated my bank account. I was on the phone for about 30 minutes. After my phone call, she calls me into her office and says, hey, I need you to clock out and clock back in because you were on the phone for too long and I want you to use your PTO for the time you were on your phone. You want me to use my precious PTO, just an hour of it, because I was on the phone? No other manager would say any bullshit like that, okay? She just was on a power trip and she was doing what she wanted. So you know what I did? I said, you know what? I'm gonna take out my PTO for the rest of the day. You know, instead of the hour you want to take out, give me the 6 hours. I'm out of here. I'm gonna go home, finish my conversation with Easy Pass. I'm gonna play my fucking game. And that's exactly what I did. Because you're not about to just do that to me, all right? You're not about to just piss me off that early in the morning telling me clock out and clock back in because you were on the phone for too long. When the entire time I was on the phone, I was actually doing work. Just had the AirPod in. I don't have to be on the phone like this anymore. It's not 1995. I don't have it on speaker either. It's 2020 fucking 4 at the time it happened. I got headphones in, bitch. Okay? Okay, bitch? You know, and I still hate her to this day. Honestly, she was a terrible, terrible, terrible manager. And also, she treated other people her age like shit, okay? She was treating me like shit because I was younger. She thought I had no experience, and she just, honestly, I think she didn't like me. But she would also treat other workers like that. Like, she gave my coworker a bad review, a bad employee review, because she wasn't getting her work done fast enough to help her out with work. You're the manager, okay? You're supposed to be helping us out. We're not supposed to be making your life easier. We're supposed to be like a balance, you know? We help each other out. You don't micromanage and tell people to do things this way and do things that way. And also, she would try to manage people that she wasn't even the manager of. She would do all these things to people that were just out of the ordinary, disrespectful, and you know what? Horrible. But let me break down the day she got fired. The day she got fired, I'm sitting at my desk and I see the lady from HR go knock on her door and say, hey, can we see you in the boardroom for a minute, right? I see that and I'm like, oh. I text my group chat and my boys and I'm like, yo, I think my manager just got fired. As a joke, right? Maybe I manifested this. Thank fucking God. I'm like, damn, we were supposed to have a meeting that day too. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go to lunch since she's having that meeting in the boardroom. I come back, right? I come back and no, actually before that. Before I take my lunch, I see the lady from HR come back and grab her bag and her laptop. And I go, hold the fucking phone. That's when I texted the group chat. So I go out to break, I come back, and I open up my email. The first email I see is from the CFO, and it says, yada, 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 Liza is not employed by my company anymore, right? Because I'm not going to say any names. I don't want me getting caught up. You know, if my coworkers see this video, they'll see my face, but they'll know I'm not talking about any of the places I work for other than fucking Central Hudson, because I don't work there anymore. But I see it and it says this person is no longer employed here, effective immediately. Woo-hoo! I'm telling you, that was the best day of my life, man. That was the best day of my life. And I still can't believe it happened. To this day, I still wake up and say, yo, imagine I go into that parking lot and I see her license plate there, and her license plate has her name on it. I know it's her car, right? But yo, I just wanted to say I'm so thankful that happened. If you have a bad manager or a terrible story to share, drop it in the comments and I can fucking talk about your shit too. Because, yo, these bad managers are everywhere. Microaggressive, micromanaging. They could even be racist sometimes, you know? And it's just, I know I'm not the best employee, but when I'm trying my best, you need to appreciate that. You can't write me up because I'm not grasping the training fast enough, you know? Not everybody works at your pace. You feel me? But just want to say thank you guys for the support, commenting, liking, subscribing. Basically, anything you guys can do to help me, thank you. I appreciate it. And I hope you guys have a great day. Stay vigilant, stay hard, stay consistent, and do what the fuck you want to do, because there's somebody out there in a hospital bed, in a jail cell, trapped somewhere doing something they don't want to do, wishing they were in your shoes. Stay appreciative and stay fucking hard. See y'all later.